Hey there, Aquarius. Welcome to your reading for the week of November 24th. You have this routine card. It says daily tasks, patterns, plans, consistent, rigid, predictable, unchangeable, fixed, and accustomed. You have this great fortune card. It says good luck, triumph, happiness, ease, reward for your effort, fulfillment, dreams come true, and positive outcomes. So love that. I'm pretty sure all your readings this month have been pretty fortunate, or they've been talking about great fortunes. And again, to be fair, this month has kind of surprised me a little bit as far as success is concerned. Again, I don't think it means easy success. I think that it means that if you put the work in, you will have success. But again, that's the key word for sure. I don't know about anyone else, but I've been feeling super lazy this month, and so that's the other problem, right? It's like the energy, I think, can be very successful, but at the same time, I think if we have like a Mercury retrograde or something like that, it can definitely slow things down, or maybe we don't make as much progress or something like that. So, I don't know what happened here, Aquarius. I'm going to pull you an extra card. Clearly, I think this one belongs to this other deck that I have over here. But we're going to leave it, because maybe it was meant to show up for you twice like that, but we'll see. In your first row for your current general energies, you have the Hierophant, the Queen of Swords, and the Two of Pentacles. The Hierophant is definitely blessings. He's making this symbol right here with his hand that represents blessings. He's blessing these two people and these two initiates in front of him. These two people are being initiated into his belief system. And, belief systems, this card, the routine card, said something about predictable daily tasks. These would be systems, right? And that's definitely a word that's popping into my head. I think belief systems are going to be very important for Aquarius, like what you believe about the world. Next year in 2026, when Neptune and Saturn move back into Aries, for you, it's going to be very important, like who you follow, or, it's not even like, I'm not talking about like following on social media. I'm talking about, who your heroes are, right? Or who you look up to. And it's going to be important that you make sure that, the people that you follow actually can do what they say. And also, it's going to be important that you follow people whose advice or whatever kind of lifts you up. And that is what will bring blessings in for you, Aquarius. So I do think the Hierophant is important enough to show up twice by accident in your reading. You have the Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords is about clarity. Again, this retrograde is definitely a retrograde of great clarity. Almost every single person during this month gets these cards of clarity constantly. So, sometimes I do think some retrogrades bring more clarity than others. And this retrograde definitely seems to be bringing answers or just clarity in general about your life or where you're going. So I feel pretty good about that. You have the Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles can be this or that thinking sometimes. Normally I only say that on the Two of Swords, and you do have the Two of Swords in this reading. But again, I read intuitively, and I just am getting this or that thinking. But I think this is something very specific for you, Aquarius, which is like something you can't ignore. The thing about the Two of Pentacles is that these waves, they start very small over here, and they get bigger as they go across the card. And so, again, sometimes intuitively, I feel like those waves are kind of like something that he is kind of juggling. He's trying to make a decision. He's thinking about it. And as time goes on, it just gets more like he can't stop thinking about it. It becomes more and more and more and more. And we're in a time of discovery. We have this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. It's going to retrograde into Scorpio, but it started in Sag. Mercury's going to go back through Sagittarius. So if there was ever a time where you could go like discover something that you don't know, or an interest, right? Like this could be so random. That's also what's like weird about being alive right now is Neptune and Pisces. It's like Neptune and Pisces, we have to be open to discovery as well. We could come up with like some random ass idea, and if we follow that idea, it could lead to like a business or a relationship or something else that we start in the future. But it's like, where we start, we're not going to see that. We're not going to know that that's going to happen. I always say we're in a time of serendipity where it's like a random ass stuff is going to happen, but you have to put yourself in random situations. So, again, if you are just, if something is getting harder to ignore, if something keeps popping into your head, or you keep, coming up with an idea or something like that, make sure to follow those inspirations or those ideas. With the Hierophant, you have the Eight of Pentacles. Kind of tells me that you're going to become the leader, which makes a lot of sense because, again, you have Pluto in your sign. Pluto is where you get your power. So, with Pluto in your sign for the next 19-ish years or so, you are definitely going to be gaining power through, kind of getting people to listen to you, being a leader. Eight of Pentacles is putting in the work, and, Eight of Pentacles is material success on the horizon. And we have this great fortune card, so I feel a lot of you, could really be putting in the work that will pay off in the future. With the Queen of Swords, you have the Four of Swords. Yes, Four Swords is my just regular retrograde card. I always say the Four Swords comes up a lot during Mercury retrograde because it is just a retrograde card. It just, it's like resting, relaxing, recovering, and healing, which are all great things to do during Mercury retrograde. With the Two of Pentacles, you have the Knight of Wands. Exactly what I said. Adventure. Knight of Wands is the card of going on adventures, being, enthusiastic. He's more kind of like a builder. If he doesn't have something he needs for his adventure, he will build it. And if if it works, great. If it doesn't work, he'll build something else to make his adventure work. And the other thing about him is that he represents mystery. We have these three pyramids here, so there is definitely, I don't really think this is a mystery that you're uncovering. I just think that the Two of Pentacles is something that you want to discover. It's like there's an adventure that you've been thinking about. Again, I'm not saying this has to involve travel, although I will say you have the World and the Three of Wands here, so it definitely could be a literal adventure. I feel for some of you it's more just like an idea that you want to explore, and I would. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have the Siren card. Yes, it says a temptation may lead you astray. There is something about the last 2 weeks here, and it could be because it's the end of the retrograde. But, I'm talking about today is the 19th, right? So I'll publish this video on the 20th. So from now until the end of the month, I think that we need to be very careful of anything that is a temptation, anything that's toxic, anything that's bad for you, anything that's going to hurt you. I would avoid all that stuff. You have a Satyr card. It says revelry and indulgence. Yeah, don't overindulge. Again, the reading's very good, but I've just noticed that there seems to be an energy at the end of the month here that is kind of, I don't know. It just seems like a little bit of a devil energy in that Satyr card. He looks like the devil. So, I would avoid overindulging in general. And the thing is, Aquarius, is that, again, this reading is very positive. So, sometimes I think when things go well, it's like we start to get lazy, or, maybe we overindulge because we think we earned it or whatever. So, I would just be careful of that. And really, with a card like the World, this would say, don't, let's say you've been trying to improve your health, right? It's and maybe you've been really good on your diet. Is it the end of the world to have a cheat day? No. But at the same time, if it turns into a cheat 6 months, then it's a problem, right? And so the World would say, don't repeat the cycle. If you're like me and you diet and then you have a cheat 6 months or a cheat 1 year, then maybe you just either shouldn't have it, or you just need to have the discipline to say, okay, I can have a cheat day. That's fine. No one's perfect. But after this day, I have to stop, plain and simple, right? And so, and that's just one example of what could be going on here. But you have the World, the Nine of Cups, and the Three of Wands. The World, of course, is an accomplishment or an achievement, and you also show up right here on the World, which puts you in a position of power and strength. So, could just be an achievement or success. You have the Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups is like a fulfillment or wish fulfillment coming in for you. A lot of wish fulfillment this week. A lot of people have been getting wish cards. A lot of Nine of Cups as well. We have to be in the energy of a wish to get what we want with the Nine of Cups. So, I would make sure that you are matching the energy of already having something that you wish for, because I think that will make it more likely that you will have it. The other thing is that I'm getting on this card is rest. For some reason, it's popping into my head. And you have the Four of Swords twice now in this reading, so I think you need extra rest. It's okay if you've been lazy. Like I said, I don't know. I just feel November's a little bit of a lazy month, and it has been, for me at least. And so, what I would say here is maybe it's not a bad thing though. If you need a rest, take a rest. If you need an extra break, take a break. Make sure you're getting extra sleep, and make sure you're taking good care of yourself. You have the Three of Wands. Three of Wands is expansion, getting out into the world, doing new things, taking the lead, I definitely get some sort of leadership vibe on that Hierophant energy for you, Aquarius. I think it's saying that you're taking the lead. It's almost like you are becoming the Hierophant in this reading is what I feel. And so, it's like all this work you've done, Eight of Pentacles, is paying off in the future. And you could be gaining followers or, something like that. Here you go. With the World, you have the Emperor. So taking the lead, again, this could be love. You could be attracting an Emperor. We do have the Page of Cups here, but, I think this reading is more all about you, Aquarius. And I definitely feel that a lot of your readings this year, 2025, have been all about you taking the lead, you being number one. You even have the Three of Pentacles, which is the card you always get where I say this. So, I think this is about you bossing up and taking the lead. With the Nine of Cups, you have the Strength card. A lot of repeating cards. So apparently this is just a repeating card reading. You have the Strength card twice. Strength is, of course, about your inner strength or being strong. She is taming her inner voice. That lion represents her inner critic, but she is the one that's taking control over it. And so, again, with the Nine of Cups, we definitely have to make sure we're saying good things about ourselves. We have to tell a positive story so we can get what we want. With the Three of Wands, you have the Hierophant 3 times. I knew that was going to happen. So clearly this is a Hierophant reading. I feel, and maybe some of you need to switch this around as well here with the Hierophant. It's like, if you're down here, it's like maybe you need to be right here. Like I always say to you with the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles is a good card, but sometimes I feel when it comes up that it says you need to be the guy that is right here, standing on the pedestal, on the stool, right? Or this bench, whatever the hell you want to call it. So it's like he needs to be number one. That's kind of what I feel here as well with the Hierophant 3 frickin' times, is that you need to be number one. You need to be the leader. You need to be the one that is sharing your vision. The whole point of the Hierophant is that he is the direct connection between heaven and earth. He's able to translate the messages of heaven down to earth to these people. So, again, I think maybe you need to be putting your messages out into the world and however you do that. That could be through creating things, through your relationships, through businesses, whatever. But I feel it's time for you to shine, kind of. It's not really like you're shining, although I think there's an ample opportunity for Aquarius to shine this year, of course. Until, for many years with Pluto and Aquarius. But, I feel this is more kind of like sharing for some reason. Or it's like you're sharing things or you're opening up. And, that would make a lot of sense. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this Treasure Island card and this Fates card. Love it. The Treasure Island card is as above, so below. So, it's a great card for manifesting, and it's a great card for, practicing manifesting and as above, so below. That Fates card is like my favorite card in this deck. Kind of says that there's fated opportunities coming in for you, or, there's like blessed opportunities, which clearly with the Hierophant, there are some blessed opportunities. You have the Hierophant again, sure, and the Four of Swords. So again, the Four of Swords, we don't need to hold the Hierophant. You've already seen him. But the Four of Swords, he's hoping and praying here for blessings. This person is blessing this other person in the stained glass window. So I do think it would be a good time to ask. It never hurts to ask for something with the Nine of Cups, right? And you could be, asking the universe. You could be asking people in your life for something. And I think it would be good for that. I also feel that, one theme that I think is important for Aquarius over the next many years is going to be not working hard, which I know I say this to you a lot, but it is very important. I think that, if you're thinking like, oh, I have to, work 120 hours a week to be able to survive and scrape by, it's like, then that's going to be true. But if you tell yourself, I can be efficient and I can do something that doesn't take much time and I can have a life, then that will be true. And so I feel it's definitely time for you to get more for the money in your life. I think it's time for you to think about how you can make a bigger impact, as I always say, especially with Pluto and Aquarius. It's like, I think about this a lot with YouTube because, it's like, that's the best example I can give you. It's like there are people on YouTube that, put in the same amount of work, and you can have one person that makes like thousands of dollars per video, and you can have another person that makes $0, but maybe both people put in the same amount of effort. If I were an Aquarius, that's what I would be thinking about. I would be looking at whatever it is you do, and I would be saying, Are there people who get a much, much bigger result for the same amount of effort? And if the answer is yes, I would try to learn from those people, right? You can do that for free. If you're smart, you put your thinking cap on and you study them, what they are doing, you will find that success. Again, I am no genius. I fell on my head when I was 10 years old, right? After that, I became a D student literally overnight. And, because of the brain injury. And if I can do it, you can do it. And so, yeah, I would do your research and study. You have the Two of Swords. Two of Swords is this or that thinking. She's thinking this or that, but really something is not going to go how she expects, right? And, again, this is very true for you because you're born so close to Pisces and we have Neptune in Pisces. Again, Neptune in Pisces is a little bit of a, kind of plot twist, right? We can start working on a goal and it can go a completely different direction, or it can have just a completely random outcome that we don't understand. The other thing is, again, we have to embrace random opportunity with, Neptune and Pisces, I believe, because, again, it's like just random things can happen that are good. And so, I wouldn't even try to predict outcomes right now in any area of your life. I would just embrace the opportunity and see what happens. You have the Page of Cups here. You do have a little bit of love, so if you want love, sure, could be an admirer. I also think this could be part of your dream. I always say Page of Cups is very dreamy. He has this fish in this cup here, and that fish might not exist. It might be part of his imagination. All I know is he needs to bring that fish down to earth, right? So, if you have a dream or something you're working towards, I would definitely put in the work this week. I think it'll be worth it here, Aquarius. With the Four of Swords and the Hierophant, you have the Hermit. So, I think it's perfectly fine for you to be in hermit mode right now, especially with the retrograde. So if you're not really feeling like doing anything, I think it would be perfectly fine. And, there's really not much to add here. I do feel it's like time for you to shine though. Like I said earlier, he has that star in the lantern here, and he needs to shine that star out all over the place. He needs to shine his inner light. So, I feel it would be a good time for you to shine your light here. With the Two of Swords, you have the Lovers. Definitely could be love. You could be thinking about love. I just think you're thinking about it with the Two of Swords. And, the Two of Swords, but again, it's like, is it really worth thinking about here, Aquarius? Like, if you have your eye on a person, or if you're thinking about going on dates or whatever, I think you should stop thinking about it, kind of, because, again, it's nothing is going to go how you think. So it's like, what's the point of trying to think about it? It's like, I think when we think about things, sometimes it's like we're trying to get ahead of something. But if whatever you're trying to get ahead of is unpredictable in the first place, what's the point, right? And so, I don't know. It might be time for you to start making moves. With the Page of Cups, you have the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords can say something is dead, done, over with. It can also represent a blessing in disguise as well. And that's kind of what I feel for you, is like, really, if you don't have love in your life, love could be a blessing in disguise, but you have to let go of the past clearly. And I think I said this to you in your mid-monthly reading that I just did for you, that, I'm pretty sure it was you, where something came up about, needing to let go of the past story so that you can have a blessing or have something better. And that's definitely something I would think about here. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this diving beetle. It says slow movement, creative force, and water element. You have this zebra. It says spiritual symmetry, distinctiveness, and self-acceptance. Yes, I think that with the strength card twice, you should definitely practice accepting yourself as you are. It's an amazing time for you to dive deep, as that card says. Again, everybody gets a star card nowadays, and I really feel that the astrology right now is like, if you just try something, it's not going to work. we can't try. We just have to do, right? We have to star. Star says you have to dive into that pool in front of you. She's just dipping her toe in the water, barely. So, again, anything worth doing is going to be worth kind of like going all the way, right? And not just doing it half-assed. So we have to whole ass one thing right now. That is the key to success. You have the Strength card, the Three of Pentacles, and the Page of Pentacles. Strength is patience and also about working on yourself. Definitely coming up in the good stuff. It can say that you have done a lot of work on yourself, and now you're standing out, or now you're getting attention for the work that you've done on yourself, which, of course, could be really good for you here, Aquarius. You have the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles, of course, says teamwork makes the dream work. So anything you're doing, working together with other people could be very beneficial. As I've been saying to you, I think you need to be on the bench right here. You need to be the one that's calling the shots like he is here. He's also getting credit for his work from these two people. Three of Pentacles is a card of quality work. He's done a really good job building those three pentacles. And, that could be where you have that great fortune card, which is amazing. But, again, I think we're definitely in a time where we're not just going to magically get great fortunes. We have to, really put in the work to get those fortunes. And for you, I think you've already done the work. You have the Eight of Pentacles. I think the secret sauce for you here, Aquarius, as well, is, like I was saying earlier, I think you can do the same amount or less even work, and you can make sure it has a bigger impact. So, again, if I were you, that's what I would be focusing on, is not necessarily doing more work, but like how can you make it have a bigger impact? And, I feel doing that is going to lead to success or whatever. You have the Page of Pentacles, which can be good news for sure, or communication. And, if you do want love, we have the Emperor, World, Lovers, Page of Pentacles. This could definitely be like an Emperor communicating with you or something like that. So, I feel that. For some of you, I feel like you missed out on something. For some of you. Not all of you. This literally might be for like two of you or less. But, it's like if you feel like you missed out on a person or something, it's like, I don't know, I feel like there's still time. So it's like maybe, you need to communicate or something like that here, Aquarius, but, definitely could be good news or communication. With the Strength card, you have the Seven of Pentacles. Yes, exactly what you need to do. Seven of Pentacles says, is the juice worth the squeeze? He's wondering if putting in the work into what has been working on is worth it or not. And only you can make that decision. But again, I think you need to focus more on the activities that produce a bigger result, or, do more of what works. And maybe studying success, people who are successful doing what you do would be a good idea. Or, maybe you could learn a thing or two just by watching what, successful people are doing in your career or in your industry or whatever. And again, definitely something I would pay attention to. With the Three of Pentacles, you have the King of Wands. King of Wands is about being bold, being assertive, being a leader, which is what we've been talking about this entire time. Really, I think nurturing your confidence would be a good idea. He is coming up in the area of the good stuff, but he does have to be confident. So, working on that, internally, especially with the Strength card, could be a good idea. He also has the gift of foresight. And again, we have a lot of this stuff about receiving messages from heaven. So, if you are receiving messages or if you're having innovative ideas, which you definitely are, whether you realize it or not, because of Pluto in your sign, but also Uranus and Gemini. Yes, I understand that Uranus has retrograded into Taurus right now. Doesn't matter. It's already touched tips with Gemini, so that's all that I care about. It's already been in there. We have to work with the energy right now. So, what I would say here is that, it's a very innovative time for you. With the Page of Pentacles, you have the Six of Wands. Six of Wands can be a victory or a big success, which, again, the world can be the same thing. Definitely could be a big win coming in for you with the Six of Wands. I also feel this reading is really talking about you standing out in a lot of ways. So, like I said, with Pluto and Aquarius, definitely the next many years will be all about you standing out, getting attention, all that other good stuff. You have this August card, and this carrot says opportunity or windfall. Yeah, I think there are going to be many opportunities between now and probably all of next year. How funny is it that I said you're not going to see the outcome, right? It's like, imagine a carrot. It's like if you're looking at a carrot from above ground, all you see is this green garbage at the top. You don't see the carrot underground. Like I said, the second secret sauce for you is that you have to take opportunities, and then after you will see what's underground, right? You have to pull it up first by getting started. That is like the secret for Aquarius, for sure. So I would be, again, you're not going to see the opportunity until you take it. You have this Cane card. It says, pay attention to your health. Yes, I said this earlier, 4 swords twice. I would just stay healthy. I don't think anything bad's going to happen. I think it's just saying watch your health. You have this Fire card. It says strong emotion, passionate love or hate. Obviously, I would, focus on love, of course, here, Aquarius. And that doesn't have to be a person, just the energy. You have this mountain. It says major challenge to overcome. I think this is a good challenge. Again, where do you get the best views, Aquarius? At the top of the mountain. So I think this is a mountain that's worth climbing. You have this mule. It says someone is extremely stubborn and unwilling to change. Devil, the satyr energy, the temptation may lead you astray. I would be careful of people who are unwilling to change. It's like sometimes I think this stubborn energy with a person, it's like a dopamine thing. You know what I mean? It's like you meet a stubborn person who's not willing to change. It becomes a challenge. You get addicted to it, but it's really just a bad person. So, I would be careful of that here, Aquarius. But overall, looks really good. So thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your month.